The release of the second season of Twisted Metal is just around the bend, so we're here to make sure you're all gassed up and ready to hit the road by the time it drops. Thanks to a devastating cyber attack, the world is now your typical apocalyptic wasteland. Cities are walled off and bands of criminals roam the roads and swaths of lands between them. As such, couriers called milkmen are tasked with delivering goods between cities. John Doe, a character you'll recognize from the games, is one of these milkmen, and he really seems to enjoy his work.
Okay, I got Barry, so who's left? Gary? Larry. Got it.
After he makes a delivery to San Francisco, he meets Raven, Chief Operations Officer of the city and a character you'll also likely recognize from the games. She offers him a map and a deal: retrieve a package from New Chicago and bring it back to San Francisco. If he succeeds, he can become a permanent resident. After having a real dinner with Raven and her family, he realizes how good he could have it there and agrees. The creature comforts aren't the only reason he's up for the task though. It's also where he grew up with his family. Unbeknownst to him, Raven doesn't actually have a family and the whole thing was a ruse. We'll have to wait till later to see what her ulterior motives are. Meanwhile, siblings Loud and Quiet are apprehended by the villainous Agent Stone, an ex-cop with a big chip on his shoulder who hopes to bring law and order back to the wasteland. You should know him from the games as well. Stone gives them a choice. One must end their life or they both die. Loud does the deed, and Quiet is branded as a criminal.
Just in case, decide to take the path of your brother. You have a nice day now, ma'am.
Elsewhere soon after, Stone and his men come upon Mike and Stu, who are about to be eaten by cannibals. They too are based on characters from the games. Stone saves them and also offers them a choice. They can join up with him if they agree to kill some men who are in the process of stealing supplies. Mike doesn't have any qualms with gunning them down, but Stu has a conscience, so he purposefully botches his shot. Mike then finishes the job anyway and saves Stu from sabotaging his chances with Stone. On his way to New Chicago, John runs into Quiet, who attempts to steal his car, which he has long referred to as Evelyn. However, the carjacking is interrupted by a crazy clown man named Sweet Tooth. Yep, he's the same Sweet Tooth who has long been the mascot for the video games. Can't make a Twisted Metal show and exclude him. After being chased into Las Vegas, the two of them are captured and forced to sit through Sweet Tooth's bizarre one-man show.
Girl, might be time to take care of those split ends.
He gets angry when John compliments him, but Quiet saves the day by offering him some constructive criticism, which is what he really wanted. It's a weird little twist, but Sweet Tooth isn't your typical wasteland dude. We eventually find out later in the season that he's an ex-child actor who killed his co-star, a dog named Billy, because fans liked him more? Yeah, if it wasn't already glaringly obvious, he's been bonkers since the very beginning. As a result, he was sent to Blackfield Asylum, where even his own parents never came to visit him. When the whole end of the world thing went down, he found his folks and locked them up at his old cell and left them to starve. It's after John and Quiet leave Las Vegas that they cross paths with Mike and Stu. At a checkpoint, Quiet recognizes Shepard, another character from the games who was present when Loud was forced to end his own life, and attempts to kill him. Unfortunately, she's thwarted, and the two of them are brought into the Hoover Dam to be questioned by none other than Stone. During their interrogation, Stone expresses interest in the map that Raven gave to John before he left San Francisco. Turns out he spent years constructing checkpoints throughout the wasteland, and whoever made the map knows how to circumnavigate each and every one of them. When John and Loud refuse to cooperate, Stone orders for them to be killed.
I'll find you.
Oh yeah? Where? In the afterlife? Spooky.
Thankfully for them, Stu the sweetheart saves them and helps them escape, but not before Quiet finds a way to kill Shepard and learns that Stone has traveled to Topeka, Kansas. John agrees to travel there with Quiet and help her avenge her brother, while Stu is left behind and must face the consequences of his actions. On the way to Topeka, John and Quiet are ambushed by a convoy of semis and taken captive. It's fine though, it's just a group of survivors who live full-time in the trailers and need a little bit of help. Here we meet Watts and Granny, both based on characters from the games. Watts tasks John and Quiet with retrieving a medical plant for Granny, who is sick. If they do this, Granny promises to give Evelyn a little makeover.
You do this run for me. I will settle you up with all the upgrades we can supply.
They agree and set off to find Watts' ex, Amber, who has the plant in question. Wouldn't you know it, she's from the games as well. Though Amber poisons them first and plans on killing them, she ultimately changes her mind and hands her plant over once Quiet convinces her who it's for. Upon their return, they find out that Granny wants to use the plant to painlessly end her own life. She does this, and John and Quiet leave after they all have a funeral for her. However, Quiet drugs John and leaves him behind so that she can go off on her own and kill Stone. Meanwhile, Stu is set to be executed, episode, since he was ratted out by Mike after helping John and Quiet escape. Luckily for him, Sweet Tooth raids the outpost and releases Stu and the rest of the prisoners. Staying true to his sweetheart ways, Stu saves Mike from certain death, even though the guy totally deserves it. Then, with nowhere else to go, he joins up with Sweet Tooth and the prisoners and hits the road. As all of that is going down, Quiet dons a disguise and attempts to infiltrate the compound where Stone is, but she gets figured out and makes a narrow escape in one of the cop cars. Realizing that Quiet is still out there, Stone contacts her on the radio and asks her to meet up for a duel. When she shows up at the agreed location, Stone rams her vehicle and almost kills her. Thankfully, John shows up just in time and saves her instead of continuing on with his original mission to retrieve the package from New Chicago. Initially, she's upset that John took her away from Stone's compound before she could finish her revenge quest.
Ow, what's that for?
I had him! That was my kill!
Who? The Stone? Are you delusional?
But their argument turns into a makeout session and they hook up in the ball pit of an old fast food restaurant. This is when we learn Quiet's backstory. A while back, she and her brother entered a contract where they would be given beachfront property in exchange for 4 years of servitude. For 3 years, they worked in a community where affluent people lorded over the people who served them and sometimes amputated body parts if they stepped out of line, which explains why she's missing a finger. After learning that the whole contract business was a lie, they escaped, but not before Loud lost his ear. In the present, John and Quiet make it to New Chicago and retrieve the package from Calypso, who we don't actually see, but fans will obviously recognize him as the main antagonist of the entire video game franchise. During their return trip to San Francisco, they stop at a milkman rest stop and run into John's ex, Mary, who is based on Bloody Mary from the games. Things are cool at first, but she eventually tells the other milkmen about the package they're carrying after John drunkenly tells her about it, which results in a big fight since everyone hopes to snag the package for themselves and thus secure citizenship in San Francisco instead of him. Meanwhile, Stu, Sweet Tooth, and their merry band of ex-prisoners arrive at the asylum where Sweet Tooth was locked up as a child. This is when Stu becomes privy to the crazy clown's backstory and realizes who he's taken up with. It's also at this point that Mike and Stone's other goons show up and kill most of the other prisoners. When Sweet Tooth shows up and starts to choke Mike out, Stu once again shows how much of a sweetheart he is and convinces the crazy clown to spare his life so that he can lead them to Stone. It's at that point that we get a little glimpse of John's past. In a flashback, we see that John was in some sort of car accident that caused memory loss. Not only does he not remember what happened to his parents, he doesn't even remember details about himself.
How old are you? 10? 11?
I don't know.
Crash must have rung your bell.
Just when you think this lady's about to help him, she just steals his car and leaves him to starve out there in the wasteland. This is when he comes upon Evelyn in the woods, covered in foliage and seemingly inoperable. But when a group of cannibals comes upon him and he makes one last effort to start her up, the engine roars to life and peels out just in time, and thus begins their lifelong bond. In the present, Evelyn finds John's photo of his family and accidentally lets it blow out the window. They stop to look for it, but this turns out to be a big mistake. Evelyn is stolen by a group of goons known as the Holy Men. John challenges Preacher, the leader of the Holy Men, who you probably recognize from the games, to a fight. The winner gets to keep the car. John gets some good licks in, but he's defeated and subsequently locked up. Quiet finds a way to steal a car and save him, but it's all for naught. He's not about to let Preacher keep Evelyn. So they part ways and he goes back to Throwdown once more. During the fight, Preacher accidentally shoots Evelyn's gas tank, and John's beloved car eventually goes boom. After the Holy Men bail, John takes the time to give Evelyn a proper send-off. Later on, John steals a car and reunites with Quiet aboard Watt's convoy. It's really emotional at first, since Quiet initially thought he was dead and is pretty upset about him choosing Evelyn over her.
I thought I lost you. And I'm so tired of losing people. And you knew that, John.
But they eventually make amends and fix up his new car, which they decide to name Roadkill, a fan favorite from the video games. Soon after, all paths converge in a parking lot where Stone has set up a blockade. Yeah, now things are really starting to feel like Twisted Metal.
Light her up.
An epic car battle ensues, giving every fan of the video games exactly what they've been waiting for. Sweet Tooth tries to get Stu to kill Mike, but yeah, you guessed it, he saves Mike instead, and it looks like Sweet Tooth is a goner for sure. Stone is eventually defeated, and John and Quiet take the high road and leave him to end his own life instead of doing the deed themselves. Once John and Quiet reach San Francisco and hand over the package, they come to a sobering realization. Raven isn't going to award Quiet citizenship, since she wasn't part of the deal. When he's about to give up his own citizenship to be with her instead, she shoots him and bails. There's no way she's gonna let him give everything up for her. Time skips ahead a bit, and we see that Quiet has taken to stealing deliveries from milkmen and doling them to people in the outskirts. John, meanwhile, has come to realize that life in San Francisco is a bit too boring for him. When he tries to leave, Raven holds him at gunpoint and tells him that she has other plans for him. He will compete in a competition put on by Calypso and win the ultimate prize for her. Meanwhile, Quiet is come upon by a group of masked women. One of them, who you'll recognize as Dollface from the games, claims to be John's sister.
Hey girl, I've been dying to talk to you.
The last thing we see before the season ends is that Sweet Tooth is alive! He kills Mike and drags Stu away so that he can participate in more crazy clown shenanigans.